Good evening, everybody. I want to welcome you here to the Prog Monster. This is a channel that is dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. My name is Murph, and I am the host of this show. So this is a show tonight. We're doing an episode of What's New. It's Saturday night. Do it every Saturday. Pick an album from the current year we're in, which is 2024, and just review it, basically. So the album I've chosen for tonight's review is called Time II by a metal band called Wintersun. So this album was released August the 30th, 2024. It's about 49 minutes long. It's on the Nuclear Blast record label. It features the personnel for the band, which is Jari Mäkipää, on vocals, guitars, keyboards, and keyboard programming, basically. Timu Matisaari on guitar, Jukka Kostanon, I think it was, on bass, and Kai Haktu on drums. Now, I may have gotten those names wholly mixed up and messed up, but I did my best I could. So anyways, there are 6 tracks on this album. I would classify this music as symphonic metal, or, symphonic prog metal, maybe you might want to call either. It could be called either of them, but it does have some other elements in it too. It's not purely that way. So there are 6 tracks on here. Most of them are highly symphonic, having a lot of symphonic and keyboard and synthesizer atmospheres for all of the songs, pretty much. Some excellent guitar playing, some very speed-like metal type guitar playing and drums and bass playing. Bass is not so dominant, it's not so easily to pick out, but the rest of the instrumentation is pretty strong. Vocals go from like normal metal-like vocals all the way to the growl that you normally get with that kind of death metal chants and that sound. So we got a little bit of that going on throughout the entire album. So I'm going to start by just kind of breaking each song down as I normally do. So you get the Field of Snow. This is a very symphonic, atmospheric opening with some piano and keys at the beginning. It gets heavier, the keys get heavier, the music gets heavier, the symphonic sound becomes very atmospheric, and it's basically a pretty solid song. I wouldn't say it's a great song, but it's not a bad song, and it's all instrumental. There are no vocals on this track. The next track up is a little bit longer. It's about 10 minutes or so in length. The Way of the Fire is the name of the song. Very symphonic sounds, kind of on a very kind of grandish scale, like almost like something epic that you would see in a video game. The vocals are not clear, but kind of scratchy at times, hard to hear from all of the symphonic sound. Drums are very speed metal like, heavy sound. The solo and the guitar parts are pretty solid, pretty good, and it's a very metal like guitar sound too. Yeah, so it builds up, becomes very dominant by keyboards and guitar, giving it that kind of heavy sound to it, but also very kind of atmospheric. And you've got those kind of symphonic vocals in the background too, something like you would get if you had an epic battle going on the screen type of thing. The next song out is One with the Shadows. It's kind of a bit more slow and melodic to open. Gets heavier. The guitars start riffing and get heavier with some solid solo parts here. A bit of a tongue twister there. I would call these kind of gravel-like vocals, like growls. A lot of that going on, but then they do use some of the normal vocals throughout the track as well. Strong, epic vocal synthesizer effects, giving that that kind of sound that you would get on that epic scale. Heavy drum and guitar riffs throughout the track. The next song up is called The Ominous Clouds is what I meant to say. Slow, maybe my heads were in the clouds too much, that's possible. Again, a slow melodic guitar picking with some synthesizers and symphonic atmospheric effects going on throughout the entire track, but definitely opened that way. Good guitar solo, very dominant part, maybe the most dominant guitar solo on the album at this point. Again, another instrumental, and it finished with a kind of, I would call it a kind of a gravelly feel or grainy feel to it. It's like a little bit scratchy towards the end. Not a bad track. But, at this point in the album, I haven't been totally impressed with anything. But the last two tracks really bring the album up quite a bit. The next track is called Storm. It has an acoustic guitar bit, but it may actually be an electric guitar that they're picking slowly to give it that kind of acoustic sound. That is often the case with some synthesizer and storm sounds in the background. So you got this normal synthesizer part that they've been playing throughout the album, and then you also have a storm effect, rain and thunder and that kind of stuff. It gets faster, the guitars get heavier, the drum parts also get heavier. It gets a more symphonic, atmospheric part, totally dominating and giving a strong effect that way. The vocals again have this growl effect to them. There's almost an operatic feel to the song at points. This it gets to a crescendo. So it keeps building up and then crescendos out, and then it drops down, and you get this more slow, melodic, acoustic feeling, still with the storm effects going on in the background. Then it begins to build again, and then you have this heavy ending that is very kind of acoustic guitar solo part. Really quite good, actually. I like their use of the crescendo, really, to add that atmosphere to the track. So the last track on the album, and that track I liked the best up till that point. This track, the final track, is to me the best track on the album. Silver Leaves is the name of the track. Slow melodic, almost oriental sound at the opening. Yeah, very different than any of the other tracks. Has that almost cashmere-like oriental sound to it, or something you might get from the Tea Party, but very metal sounding as well. It builds, gets heavier. The vocals are kind of a folky bit to the vocals on this track. Again, being very different from any of the other tracks. But then you have that heavy vocal sound that they do at the beginning. It's very emotional. It's a very emotional feel. It drags you in with that. Catchy riff, grand, epic, atmospheric sound all throughout the entire track. The vocals get more harsher as the song goes along. His voice tends to stretch a bit and start to screech a bit. Not overly, but enough that it's not the same as it was at the beginning. All the instrumentals on the track build in scale as the song continues to build up, and then it reaches a crescendo similar to the last track, but maybe more epic in proportions to that. And then it kind of gets an atmospheric, quiet sound where it just, all you can hear is the kind of oriental parts again. So it almost drops everything but the oriental part. And then you get, it drifts to an almost silence, and then all you can hear is the storm throughout the rest of the track, which maybe be about less than a minute, I think. I didn't check it, but it feels like it's about a minute. And yeah, so this track I liked the best of all of them, because I remembered so much of it. That's the biggest thing with music, is that the memorable songs you'll often be able to break the details much better than you will with the ones that aren't so memorable for whatever reason. So there you have it. That's it for tonight's video on what's new, Wintersun Time II. I thought it was a good album. The last two tracks really pulled it up quite a bit. Up until that point, it was passing, but not by much. And then these just kind of gave it maybe more of a overall 6.5 feel to it. But epic. Last two tracks are well worth listening to the album for. So I did enjoy this. Whether I'd buy it or not, I guess it would depend on the price. Right at this point in time, I wouldn't pay top dollar for it. I don't think it's that great of an album that I need to have it in my collection. But if I was to go back and see it somewhere for in a year or so where it's maybe the price has come down again, it might be worth getting at that point. So there you have it. Wintersun Time II. What's new for this week? We're going to have another What's New next Saturday as well. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Please hit the like and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell above my head. And any comments about this album, if you had a chance to listen to it, you can put those in the comment section below. And if you've had some experience with some of the other Wintersun albums, this was their 4th studio album, so they do have 3 others. They've been around since the early part of the century, so 2004, 2005, maybe even a little earlier than that before they recorded their first album. But definitely a symphonic metal band is what I would classify them as, although they do have some different elements throughout their music. So I hope to see you all next Saturday for another episode of What's New, and we'll also see you tomorrow when we do This Week, which is the episode we do at the beginning of each week. I have some interesting stuff to do where there'll be one show change. Actually, there'll be a couple of show changes going on. Well, one for sure anyways, and then the other one will be at its conclusion when we do the ranking of the albums for the finals, which will come out next Friday. But we'll get into that tomorrow when we talk about what's going on. The monthly series is also going to be coming to an end this week, and we're going to be starting a new series, and we'll be talking all about that tomorrow on This Week. I hope to see you then. Have yourself a good night, and take care.